Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is starting to finally break out above this massive descending line of resistance as the price is also starting to liquidate a bunch of short positions, while the price of Bitcoin is also now starting to run into this major area of resistance that we need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside Solana still perfectly playing out this bullish divergence, and the price of XRP, while still bouncing in the short term, we're currently running into this line of resistance that we need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the 4-day Bitcoin price chart, and right now the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, so nothing's changed on this chart over the last 1 day. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, obviously, as I've been saying in recent weeks here on the channel, we're potentially at a similar stage in the price of Bitcoin compared to what we saw around July 2024 approximately, based on this weekly Bitcoin MACD. Because obviously for some time now, for the last couple of months give or take, we've been bearish if we're looking at the MACD indicator, obviously corresponding to the price, also looking bearish over the last couple of months, very similar to what we saw leading up towards around July 2024. In the 2 months prior to July 2024, we were bearish for the most part, but then around July 2024, obviously by that stage we had already seen most of the bearish momentum. Basically the worst was kind of behind us, but we didn't necessarily flip massively bullish again right around there. Obviously we still took some time before ultimately starting to flip more bullish again and actually gaining more bullish momentum later on. And so obviously not much has changed over the last 1 day on this Bitcoin chart. Things are still playing out as I've been talking about based on this indicator right here. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, obviously right now and over the last few months, we've been playing out this massive bearish divergence, which is still technically active on this Bitcoin price chart on this time frame, as I've been saying since pretty much the beginning of this year. And obviously this has been telling us to not necessarily expect any significant bullish momentum from that point onwards, and obviously that's been perfectly playing out as I've been talking about. But of course we can see some short-term bullish price action here and there, just not necessarily massive momentum towards the upside, at least not right now. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, as I've recorded this video, the price of Bitcoin is about to run into this area of resistance again, and that's sitting in between around 86,000 to 88,000. And previously we've seen many rejections from this area, especially around that $88,000 level and even close to 89,000, but roughly 88,000, that is major resistance to pay attention to. And so obviously if we continue this short-term relief here, expect a lot of resistance, expect the price to likely struggle around this area. But if we actually see a confirmed breakout above 88,000, in that situation we have a possible W pattern or double bottom pattern. And in that situation, if we see a confirmed breakout above 88,000, that would set up a bullish price target at around 98 to 99,000, around 98,500. And so just for example, measuring that move from the point of the breakout at around 88,000 to that price target at roughly 98,000, around a $10,000 move towards the upside, that would be roughly around an 11 to almost 12% move towards the upside in the price of Bitcoin if we first actually confirm a breakout above 88,000. And obviously even if we see that breakout above 88,000, we cannot ignore other points of resistance, like for example around 92,000. I would expect some resistance around there based on previous significant support flipping into new resistance, and also a lot of resistance based on the volume profile indicator sitting at around 96,000. And so those are the significant levels of resistance and the price targets to watch out for, at least on this Bitcoin chart right here. And obviously the support is still sitting at around 78,000 based on these 3-day candle closes, and significant support starting at close to 74,000, which is pretty much exactly where the price recently bounced from, at very close to 74,000. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously right now as recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is potentially finally about to confirm a breakout above this massive descending line of resistance, which is currently sitting at around 83,500 to 84,000, so just below 84,000. And now, technically speaking, we still need to actually confirm this daily candle close above 84,000 in order to actually confirm this breakout. But at the time of recording this video, it's only around 1 or 2 hours from now this will actually confirm. So by the time you're watching this video, it might have already just confirmed. And so ultimately, once again, we're looking at a bullish breakout above this descending line of resistance, which is obviously a bullish signal for Bitcoin and possibly the first reversal signal out of this bearish trend, because clearly ever since around the all-time high back during January, obviously we've for the most part been in a shorter term bearish trend here on the daily time frame, forming lower highs and lower lows. But possible reversal signals to watch out for are, of course, breakouts above key points of resistance and ideally flipping previous resistance into new support, and especially if we start creating higher highs with breakouts above previous highs, like for example around 88 to 89,000. If we break that level, that would be a bullish reversal signal for Bitcoin, and especially if we create a higher low on the price chart, that would be another bullish reversal signal. But obviously, as I always say, we cannot ignore these other points of resistance where the price can also likely struggle at. So just keep that in mind. Even if we confirm this breakout here, we still have those other levels to watch out for. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, obviously one of the main signals in the shorter term that has been helping the price of Bitcoin, at least for now, is of course this bullish divergence, which is still actively playing out on the daily time frame. And so obviously I've already been talking about this over the last few days, over the last half a week or so here on the channel, telling you that we're most likely going to see a slight bullish relief in the short term, or at the very least a bit of choppy sideways price action. So basically a break or a relief from all of the bearish price action. In other words, don't necessarily expect a massive bearish move, at least in the next few days or weeks. So once again, in the somewhat shorter term, while this bullish divergence is now playing out. And if you want to actually trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I'm taking a lot of my crypto trades over on 2bit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, up to $50,000 in a trading bonus over on your 2bit account, but only if you use the link below this video. And if you're not one of these larger traders here, you can also claim some decent bonuses, like for example, a $30 sign up bonus and also a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So for example, if you deposit $1,000, you get a $200 bonus, but once again, only if you use that link. And on top of all of that, if you use the link below this video to 2bit, you're automatically upgraded to VIP level 1 trading fees, which basically means you get a massive discount on trading fees. You get lowered trading fees over on 2bit, but remember, only if you use the link below this video. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, either the first or second link below this video. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want 2bit as an exchange, there's also BTNX as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I will also make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video as well. And in case you're wondering, if you use that link, you can get a massive 10% discount on all trading fees forever over on your BTNX account. That is a lifetime fee discount on BTNX, but that's only if you use the link below this video. And also, in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange as well. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now, in fact, just over the last few hours or so, we've actually seen a breakout and liquidating a bunch of short positions here with their liquidation levels that were sitting at around $85,000 approximately. And obviously, I talked about all of this happening in my last video just yesterday before all of this actually happened. And so once again, as I said yesterday, I said the price, as always, usually tends to move towards where there's a lot of liquidity. So basically, this 85K level is acting as a magnet, as pulling the price towards that level. And once we start breaking out above close to 85,000, that will liquidate a bunch of short positions, which can add to some short-term buying pressure, because that can cause just a small short squeeze. But as I also explained in my last video, don't expect a massive move towards the upside based on a small short squeeze happening. Maybe just a small bullish move once again. But as always, we cannot ignore other points of resistance where the price can struggle at. And of course, this chart right here with a massive bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, telling us to not necessarily expect a massive massive amount of bullish momentum. And so ultimately, when we consider all of this information to figure out what is most likely going to happen in the short term, basically, we're most likely going to see some somewhat mild bullish price action. Not necessarily a massive bullish move, but we're technically looking more bullish than bearish, at least in the imminent short term, talking about the next few days or possibly the next 1 or 2 weeks, that sort of time frame, while we're currently seeing this breakout, possibly a small short squeeze, and of course, the bullish divergence now playing out, as I've already been talking about for the last few days here on the channel. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the price of Ethereum on the weekly time frame, and just like Bitcoin experiencing a short-term relief, a short-term bounce, obviously Ethereum is also now bouncing from pretty much exactly this major area of support, sitting in between 1.4K to 1550. But as I've said time and time again for the last few weeks or months now, actually during this bear market, obviously we can see short-term bounces here and there, but that does not necessarily change the fact that at least Ethereum in particular is clearly within a bear market. There's basically no denying the fact that technically speaking, we are within a larger bearish movement, a larger bearish trend, which is technically what a bear market is here on the weekly time frame. And so yes, the price of ETH, as I always say, will likely follow somewhat similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing, not the exact same price action, but similar price action. So if Bitcoin continues a slight bullish relief in the short term, expect a bit of a relief for Ethereum in the short term. Just remember that technically speaking, the larger situation for Ethereum is still not looking too good. But honestly, not a lot has changed for Ethereum over the last 1 day. So with that being said, getting straight into the price of Solana on the weekly time frame. And right now, as of recording this video, the price of Solana is finally attempting a breakout back above this previous significant area of support, which was temporarily acting as resistance right here. And that's sitting in between around 120 to 130. But technically speaking, we still need to actually confirm the breakout back above 130 with at least a daily candle close, but ideally a weekly candle close, considering this is the weekly time frame back above 130. And in case you're wondering, the next weekly candle close confirms in a little over 1 day from now. So if the current price is basically staying above 130 in around a day from now, if we're above 130 tomorrow, then we'll likely confirm this weekly candle close above this area, confirming the breakout. And in that situation, if we actually confirm the breakout back above 130, especially on the weekly time frame, then basically I'll no longer really be focusing on that $90 price target. But obviously we already hit very close to $90. We made it into the $90 range, down towards around $95. And of course, I've been talking about the $90 area ever since the price was at around 170, when everyone on this channel, well, not everyone, but a lot of people were telling me there's no way we could possibly see the price ever go below $100 ever again. When the price was at 170, pretty much almost everyone was telling me that, but basically I was saying no, actually the price will indeed go below around $100 and get close to $90, and that's exactly what has happened since then. But obviously just over the last few days, we've clearly seen a short-term bullish relief, which is also what I've been talking about over the last few days as a result of this shorter-term bullish divergence, which is actively playing out on the daily time frame. So once again, as I've been saying since all the way back around here, I've been saying expect a short-term bullish relief, or at the very least a bit of choppy sideways price action, because those are the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. And usually a bullish divergence on the daily time frame plays out over a couple of weeks, give or take. And so considering it's still actively playing out right now, once again, continue to expect a bullish relief, especially if we confirm this breakout above 130. Honestly, we could see potentially a much further relief towards the upside, but we will likely find some resistance at approximately 144 to 145, and maybe a small amount of resistance at around 136, and also at around 147 approximately, mainly based on these highs right here. But as always, pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing, because if Bitcoin continues its bullish relief in the short term, expect something similar for Solana and a lot of the major altcoins. And with that being said, if you're taking a look at the price of XRP on the 3-day time frame, frame, technically speaking, XRP is still actively playing out the much larger bearish divergence on the 3-day time frame, as I've been saying for months now on the channel. So not much has changed over the last 1 day on this XRP chart. But if we're taking a look at the shorter term on the 12-hour time frame, technically we're still within this descending parallel channel, which is technically a bearish trend. But of course, during this bearish trend, we can see the occasional bullish relief here and there along the way towards the downside. And that's exactly what we've seen over the last few days, perfectly bouncing from this descending line of support, which is sitting at around $1.74 to $1.75. And right now, as of recording this video, the price of XRP is currently running into a bit of short-term resistance based on this center line right here acting as resistance, and also based on previous horizontal resistance at these highs right here, and that's both sitting at roughly around $2.15 to $2.16. But if we could see a confirmed breakout above $2.16, ideally above around $2.17, then in that situation, if we see candle closes above that level, we could potentially see a bullish relief all the way up towards around $2.46 to $2.47 as the next major point of resistance. And above that level, then I'll be watching around $2.57 approximately, and above that, more resistance at close to $2.60 based on this descending line of resistance for the descending parallel channel. But remember, at least for now, technically speaking, while we're seeing a short-term bullish relief, like all of these other times, technically speaking, that does not necessarily mean the bearish trend is completely over. And so in order to expect more of a bullish trend reversal completely out of this bearish trend right here, we need to, at the very least, form some sort of significant higher high and higher low on the price chart, and ideally breaking out above this descending line of resistance for the descending parallel channel, which obviously right now we still have a way to go before actually confirming that. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, right now the price of Chainlink is technically still playing out the bullish divergence as I've been talking about over the last half a week, telling you we're most likely going to see just a shorter term bullish relief, or at the very least a bit of sideways price action. So basically a break or a relief from the larger bearish trend, but not necessarily the end of the trend, because of course it is possible to play out a shorter term bullish divergence, a short term bullish relief during a larger bearish trend. So just keep that in mind. But at least over the next few days, possibly over the next 1 or 2 weeks, I do expect at least a continued relief in the somewhat shorter term for Chainlink. And something important to point out is the fact that the price of Chainlink, as of recording this video, is finally attempting a breakout back above this important level on the price chart, previous Fibonacci support flipping into new resistance, which was resistance previously right here just over the last few days, and that was sitting at around 1270 to 1280. So now that we're breaking out above that level, and especially if we confirm this candle close on the daily time frame above around 1280, and even better if we confirm it above $13, in that situation that could likely become new support again if we see a little retracement. And the next major point of resistance to watch out for is sitting in between around 1490 to 1550. So we could possibly see a relief all the way up towards close to $15 as the next major resistance. But in the meantime, I'd also expect a small amount of resistance at close towards around $14, basically just above $14 based on this high right here. But overall, especially while Bitcoin plays out its short-term bullish relief, expect something similar for a lot of these major altcoins. So that is what I'm expecting in the shorter term. Just do remember that technically speaking, we've not yet necessarily confirmed a complete reversal out of this larger bearish trend for a lot of these major altcoins. And as always, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.